And just to watch the interaction that he had with my grandson was priceless. I've got it all on videotape. And then when my grandson came out, he goes, "He's not scary. He's not scary."
I love that. Did he think he was a member of Star Wars, so how tremendous he is?
Exactly.
Mike Brasso goes down 2 hitters, phased by Hoyt, 2 strikeouts. That's out number 1. And here's another thing, guys. How would you, Gooby, pitch to Mike Trout in your day?
Well, I always would think, I got to go with my fastball inside. I got to force that fastball in, but I can't live down and in because he's going to crush that baseball. So I would try to get that fastball inside, right around belt high. And then once I made him aware of that, I would try to get him to chase. Just like I would be a Kirby Puckett, although Kirby would chase more pitches than him. But I always would feel that I had a good shot because he was a right-handed batter. Regardless of how good Trouty is, I always felt I had a shot against anybody batting right-handed against me as compared to some of the lefties.
It's good to see the perspective here because now the righty gave his opinion. Langer, you have power stuff, fastball, breaking balls, and how would you approach a guy like Mike Trout?
I would attack exactly the same way. And again, I was on the left side of the mound, the first base side of the mound, and we talked about that angle earlier. And I would come, and you see the lefties. We've seen James Paxton. We've seen some lefties with power stuff. They tie Mike Trout up. It's like the kryptonite, that one little spot on the inner half of the plate that's just above the belt towards his hands, but is still a strike. That's the pitch that could tie him up, and that's kind of the pitch that I like to use against right-handed hitters. And with Trout, my breaking ball would not be that good because he is a guy that can go down and get it with the best of them. Nobody better at the ball down in the zone. So as Gooby talked about, keep it up in the zone and go get him.
You guys know very well, though, you have that plan, but if you miss by an inch.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's thunder.
That's always scary when you're trying to go inside with it, because if it leaks out over the plate at all, you know you're not getting the baseball back. All you're hoping is somebody in the stands catches it and it's not right back lined at you on the mound.
He is just a grounded young man, and we get to see that, guys. And I mean, we get to see it on the field, but we also get to see the personalities and the growth from this kid. First step in the big league field as a youngster in spring training, and his attitude and hunger for the game has not wavered at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the the biggest stars in sports. I remember going. He took me to a game a few years ago after the Eagles had won the Super Bowl, and he's a big football fan. So we're at the game, and we're sitting there in the stands, and every Eagle player, they're going out there to play a game, and these guys are going to battle and get beat up during the course of the game. But Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz and all the rest of the guys are coming up to him. Malcolm Jenkins, "Hey, Mike Trout, how you doing?" I'm like, wait a minute, these guys are going to go play football right now. They're coming up to say hi to Trout. His seats were right by the tunnel where the guys would run out there to play that game every single night. But boy, I'll tell you, it's amazing when you're around him, but yet you would never know that. You would never know he's the biggest star that he is, because he treats everyone just like you would love to see him treat him, just like a friend.
Jeff and Debbie Trout, congratulations on the job you've done.
Doubt.
Hey, by the way, now new perspective on Mike Trout, because he is a daddy. And coming home from a road trip, he's like, oh, his eyes light up when he goes, I get to go home after a road trip and go see my baby boy. And he did not forget either, even on a post-game interview recently, who to give the credit to on holding things together. That's Jess.
Yes. Yeah, that's the hardest job. And when you're on the road and you're trying to communicate with your wife and your child or children, and if you have more than one. But Trout had put it in perspective. Even if I have a tough game, I can go home and I see that little smile on Beckham's face, and I feel unbelievably good.
You walk to the recent batter Meadows and for the Rays.
Hey, Jose, you were talking about who does Trout remind you of, and I was fortunate enough my last year in Seattle to see Ken Griffey Jr. come to the big leagues at 19 years old. And Jr. is the only guy I've ever been able to compare Mike Trout to, who went through the same things, that was literally make the game look like he was playing it in his backyard, and has the ability to slow everything down. So it was fun to see Jr. at the young age and just dominate the game, and we obviously get the opportunity to see Trout ever since he's been here just absolutely take the game and take it to another level.
I'll tell you what, you guys were stars. I was a fringe player, but it's just with the ease that he does things that sometimes as a fringe player looking going, how does he make it look that easy? It's not that easy. But here's one thing, and Albert Pujols says this time after time, guys, I get to see the work that he puts in every single day, Gooby, right?
Yep. I mean, they're working hard. I think Albert, as an example, has put Trout to that next level because Albert has worked as hard as anybody the game has ever seen, and he's arguably one of the greatest players ever in Albert Pujols, but he sees him working that hard, and Mike Trout says, you know what, if he's working that hard, I got to work as hard, if not harder, to become the player that I want to be.
Another 3-0 count here by Hoyt. The ball gets away from Suzuki. Would have been ball 4 anyway. So Diaz walks, and consecutive walks here, consecutive walks for Hoyt.
By the way, guys, I'm often asked, what player during the time when I was playing, who did Mike Trout remind you of? And I could never really focus in on one. I always went to, he was a combination of Bo Jackson with the wow factor and athleticism, and George Brett, the baseball player. So I said I mold those two together, and there's Mike Trout.
Hoyt is out after consecutive walks. Sandoval is on his way in. Angels Baseball and Bally Sports is brought to you by Hyundai. See your Southern California dealer today, because the longer you look at a new Hyundai, the more there is to like. By Jack in the Box, go classic, spicy or both with the new $5.99 50/50 popcorn chicken with ranch only at Jack in the Box. And by The Wrath of Man, starring Jason Statham, and directed by Guy Ritchie, in theaters May 7th. I know you guys are both movie guys, but I'll tell you what, somebody that could probably be in a movie is we see Patrick Sandoval come on the mound, is this superhero named Bo Jackson.
Yeah, the power was incredible. The strength, ridiculous. The speed and the things he did, the wow factor. Hey, I know, Langer, you played with him too there with the Angels. You tried to do some of the things he did, and then you realize, you know what, only he could do those things. Like trying to break a bat over your leg. I almost went on the injured list but trying to do that. But his speed, that throw on Harold Reynolds is still, I'll never forget that. As soon as that ball was hit, I literally started walking into the clubhouse thinking the game was over. I gave a courtesy look back, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's a baseball flying through the air, and Bob Boone, as the catcher, catches and applies the tag. I was still in complete shock at that throw.
Well, the first time this season we see Patrick Sandoval, Langer, Bo Jackson, facing a guy like that, watching him run, watching him feel, watching him throw, it must have been quite a show for you.
Yeah, back in the day, because Gooby mentioned when he was younger and he was healthy, he was probably the best athlete on the planet, bar none. I don't think there's a better athlete I've ever seen. And with the speed and the power that this guy had, he had world-class sprinting speed. I saw him on AstroTurf in Kansas City hit a two-hopper to our shortstop, Spike Owen, because we always talk about Trout and Ohtani going down. And Bo Jackson was watching the ball the entire time. Spike did nothing wrong. Got rid of it quickly. Bo turned his head and had that fifth gear that he jumped into, and he was able to beat that infield hit on AstroTurf on a routine play. And just stuff like that he was able to do, that just made him that superstar that we became to know and love.
Well, his first hit, so he's up there against Steve Carlton. He hits a home run, just foul. And then the very next pitcher, although Bo to this day will tell you that he thought that was fair, he hit it too far over the foul pole that they couldn't see it. Then he hits a ground ball to the second baseman. The second baseman is a right-handed batter, and he beat it out. And we're all looking into the dugout going, I'm pretty sure this guy is not human. You can't hit a ball that far and then run that fast as well. We've said that about Mike Trout over the years too. He's almost feel like he's not a human being doing the things he does.
Hopper over the mound. Rojas, Fletcher, double play. What is the call here? Because there's base runner getting back to first.
I felt that from my angle here, I thought he did end up beating it.
Yeah, they're going to take a peek at this one.
Yeah, he definitely beat it.
He beat the throw on this.
This is a pretty good angle. You can see that it plays at the bag.
Yeah, and Albert knew it, because he would have ran off the field if he thought he got him. So Albert felt he has his foot on the base. He feels that pressure on the base by Margot and knows by that time that ball enters his glove. That's the only reason that Albert didn't start running off the field, because Albert thought he was out, he would have ran off. Talking about Bo Jackson.
I want to hear perhaps about some of the matchups with you.
Yep, I had very first time I faced Bo Jackson, I had him set up for my breaking ball, and I usually, when I got 2 strikes, would throw that breaking ball. I threw it down and in, and he hit it a mile in Kansas City, and I went, uh-oh. From that point on, I didn't throw him another breaking ball. I went fastballs on the inner half of the plate and elevate, and I don't know how many strikeouts in a row I had against him, but I felt like they started to stack up. And so as he progressed through his career, I thought I had like 16 strikeouts in a row against Bo. Every time he came up, I felt like I could punch him out, just on fastballs.
Like, were you on the team with the Mariners where he hit the home run against Mike Moore?
Oh my gosh!
That thing was,
to this day,
yeah,
the farthest ball I've ever seen hit. It looked like Herman Munster hit it. It almost went out of the county of Kansas City at that ballpark. But later on in his career, after he had the hip surgery, Bo Jackson's with the Chicago White Sox, and I had faced him the week before and punched him out, I think, 3 or 4 times in the game. So I have a 2-hit shutout with 2 outs in the 9th with a guy on first. He didn't start the game. They pinch hit Bo Jackson. I went, oh, thank you. This game is over. Sure enough, I get 2-2 fastballs and blowing it right by him. I throw a fastball in the outer half, and he hits it into the right field seats like a left-handed pull hitter to tie the game at 2 in the 9th inning with 2 outs in the 9th and a 2-hit shutout. I went from, just pure joy to, oh, my word. But I think I went 10 innings in that game. I went into the manager. I think Buck Rogers, the manager, I go, you cannot take me out. The veins in my neck, Gooby, as you well know, I was so chapped at that I was not going to come out of that game at all.
So that review confirms a save at first base, 1st and 3rd now for the Rays. And
well, I'll tell you what, I'm liking Sandoval's arm angle and how crisp the baseball is coming out of his hand. 94 to 95 on his fastball. Always have been a big fan of Patrick Sandoval, and now seeing it from this angle. He's got some good arm action going as far as his fastball.
24-year-old making his Angels debut here in 2021 from Mission Viejo High School. 1-1 from a lefty against a lefty.
By the way, if you really
Brandon
want to laugh, watch Bo Jackson in person play football when he was with the Raiders, because he used to give me sideline passes, and his teammates were going. They would walk by and go, have you ever seen anything like it? I said, well, I see that all the time on the baseball field. He goes, well, we've never seen this on a football field. So fast, so strong, where most guys on the defense were like, please don't hand him the ball, because then I might have to try to tackle him, and it's not going to go good.
Right side foul. Gooby, I also heard that Bo Jackson put up a show when you went out to dinner with him. I heard it was quite the feast.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere you went, I would always think it feels like I'm going around with Mick Jagger. Even the year we had the All-Star game here where you won the MVP in '89, and then we're flying to New York, and both the pilots at one point or another got out of the cockpit, came back for an autograph, and I'm like, who's flying this plane? You know me, Jose. I don't like flying. I'm thinking, who's flying this plane? Don't worry about it. We have on autopilot. I'm thinking the airplane movies. I'm like, no, I don't want to see that. I want to see somebody in there flying this plane. But they were so in awe of Bo Jackson. You go out to dinner, it's like the man could eat anything, and then he had no body fat. He was just a complete rock.
I understand that some entrees became appetizers.
Yeah, you know what? And I look at him and say, "Hey, you got me covered here on this one, right? You got the tab here, because I'm not gonna eat as much as him. So I figure, you know what? I can't be able to pay for this whole thing. You're the one that's eating about 9 courses, and I'm gonna have 1."
There's a good battle going on between Sandoval and Lau. 5-0 Rays. EDD check. No, he could not hold up. So a strikeout for Sandoval. Good start to his Angels 2021 season. And now it's time for Land Rover Above and Beyond, guys. This guy's got some stuff, and it's working tonight.
Yeah, this is pure power stuff. This is what the elite guys could do. Talking 100 miles an hour, he's topped out, and he can throw it at the top side of the strike zone. Very appealing to hitters, very difficult to catch up to, and then he throws the breaking ball on top of that. 5 of his 7 strikeouts in this game tonight come on that filthy curveball. And with that fastball combination, just a difficult matchup for any hitter.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can see where he starts the fastball at that upper part of the strike zone, that same plane. He throws the curveball, same thing, and it looks like it's going to be upper part and ends up below the strike zone. His spin rate on this curveball has been off the charts. It's one of the best in the game as it is. I mean, Trevor Bauer, I think, is higher as far as spin rate on a curveball, but it's unbelievable for Glasnow.
Swinging amazed by Pujols. It was Pujols, Rojas, and Suzuki. 7, 8, 9 for the Angels, guys. I mean, keep in mind that Snell goes to the Padres. Charlie Martin becomes a free agent. And Glasnow is the guy that everything revolves around. They went out and got Chris Archer back, Michael Wacha, Rich Hill. But he is the guy right here at 27 years old and dominant.
Well, you remember a couple of seasons ago in the postseason, everyone was saying he was tipping his pitches between his fastball and his curveball. He's made a quick adjustment on that, and then has added a slider that's virtually unhittable as well.
I think he could tip his pitches, and you still aren't going to do anything with this guy.
Hey, did you ever try that, Langer, where you said, you know what, I don't even care if you know what's coming?
I've had plenty of games where I was told you were tipping your pitches, and I've had really good games going. Obviously, something was still working right, but it's a nightmare for pitchers that when you hear the word you're tipping your pitches, and it could be anything from your glove getting bigger on your breaking ball or your changeup to where you're positioned as you come down to gather at the top. Little itty-bitty things, and nobody was better. And I mean nobody.
A really high left side, playable for Arozarena. That's out number one. Okay, so tipping pitches. Who brought it to your attention, number one?
Yep.
And did you believe it in the first time, especially if you had a good game?
Yeah, there's usually the games when you're having good games, they don't even mention it to you because it can crawl into your head that you're doing stuff.
Okay.
It's the games that you give up early runs, and they could see it from the dugout. Usually the pitching coach who knows you best. But I remember sitting in the Angels dugout and to listen to Rod Carew, Jim Edmonds, and Garrett Anderson pick apart everybody every night. I would hear them. By the third inning, they could tell almost every pitch that was coming. And they would go up there and they would bet everything on whatever they saw. And I remember Tim Salmon would just plug his ears because he did not want to know because he didn't want to be up there and think he sees the glove get bigger and it's not. And then he's in big trouble. And his at-bats the rest of the night would be messed up. But
Fish, what?
Yeah.
I know you're watching, Fish.
Hey, guys, it was a crazy story. So I'm going against Baltimore. I had some success against them over the years. But former Angel, Rene Gonzalez, so he's in Baltimore. And, you know, he tells Bob Melvin, because we were teammates for a short period of time before he left to go to Boston, and eventually when he was with me in Kansas City, he goes, you know why we started laying off your slider down and in? And I'm like, you know, because I didn't really look at video a whole lot because I was always thinking, you know what, I'm not the nicest person when I'm on the mound, so I didn't want to look and have my parents, they were already screaming at me for what I would do on the mound.
You weren't, Gooby.
No. So I look at it, I said, I'm not looking at the video. He goes, what you did, literally, when you threw your slider, you would literally stick your tongue out. And I'm like, no way. So I went and looked at video, I'm like, oh my, I did. So they would lay off, as soon as they saw me with my tongue out as a hitter, they would lay off my slider. And I was thinking, how do I go from a guy swinging the slider in the dirt to all of a sudden never chasing at that point?
Softly first baseman. Diaz feeds Glasnow for out number 2. Now Rojas 0 for 2 today after striking another ground out. So I got Kurt Suzuki and Gooby. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because Bob Melvin, you know, he ends up coming over to Kansas City. We were together. He's my battery mate there. It's all catchers. Speaking of catcher at the plate, they're your best friends. The catcher is going to be your best friend on the team. So he says, you know what? You were sticking your tongue out. And I'm like, there's no way. You know, so eventually I had to learn to, you know, bite my lip every time I threw my slider because I'm thinking, you know, I am doing that because I looked at the video and I'm like, I cannot believe I did that. I was joking around because you remember Michael Jordan used to stick his tongue out before he slam dunked in his career, but I'm thinking, why would I do that? Why did I have stick my tongue out when I was throwing a slider, but I didn't with my fastball or changeup? So it's something as hitters, you could pick that up and have better chance of not chasing out of the strike zone.
Gooby, I think you were just pointing that direction. That was your reminder.
Yeah. Can you imagine I'm trying to bite my lip in the middle of throwing a pitch? You know how I used to grunt and be pretty violent on my delivery. Now I'm biting my lip. I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to have no teeth left after that.
0-1 on Kurt Suzuki. He's 1 for 1 with a double. When you look at this guy on the mound today, I mean, there's been solid contact today from Ohtani on the ball up the middle. It became an infield double pretty much. Fletcher with a line drive. By the way, that line drive by Fletcher will be 95.6 on the exit velocity. And then Suzuki. So really 3 guys that squared him up. And this is batter number 18. And no, we're not surprised. I mean, this guy is that good.
Well, when you come in with a batting average against about 144 and a whip under 1. And there used to be a walk as part of his game. He does have a couple walks in this game. But for the most part, he's around the strike zone.
And that's the big thing. After watching that last start against the A's, I was thinking that maybe that was going to be the Angels' approach against him today, is just really make him control the strike zone, make him throw strikes. But as you just mentioned, he's been in the strike zone.
Left side, deep shortstop. Adames sets his feet. Low throw, picked up by Diaz, and that gets it done. Well, there's always some good defense played behind a guy like both of you when you're on your game, too. 5-0 Rays. Hey, download the MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch-by-pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your Angels, all on the MLB app. And now we cannot do without this, guys. He knows very well that's where all the info is. And we start getting our prep work in the mornings and getting ready for shows. Find it all right there. Patrick Sandoval on the mound for the Angels, and great to have all of you joining us in this first player takeover broadcast. José Mota, Mark Gubicza, Mark Langston. We're going to have plenty of these throughout. Langer, you're invited again, obviously, and I don't think you're going to invite some of your friends to come join us.
I would love to invite some of the alumni to come up and enjoy the player takeover.
Love it. Having a great time. You guys teaching me a lot of things. And
head down to Mota Island down there.
By the way, this sounds great, the player takeover. We're taking over the broadcast.
Gooby, not too loud now.
I got to slow down a little bit. Slow down.
No, never.
Hey,
Don't.
I'm field level right now, right by a dugout. Usually I'm chirping at the other team here all the time.
Well, guys, let's talk about Patrick Sandoval. In my opinion, there's no reason for this guy not to be good in the big leagues.
Yep.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. His stuff is that good. Look at the size, velocity, stuff. What's happened? How do we get him more consistent, Langer? I'll start with you.
For me, I see Patrick Sandoval, and it's the lower half is always ahead of the upper half. And I would do something to slow him down to be able to sync that up, because he's got the great stuff. As you mentioned, the fastball's got plenty of giddy up, and he has the idea of the back and forth with the great changeup. He's really worked on that slider. But for Patrick Sandoval, to me, that's just, when that foot hits, that arm has got to be just a click in front to get that consistent release point.
His stuff is there. I mean, easy 93, 95. Gooby, we saw him work out of a lot of jams in spring training. The stuff is there. He's erratic, in and out of the zone, but man, he's got some talent.
Yeah, you know, we mentioned those walks, but he was able to avoid any damage at all in spring training because he was able to get right back in because he has swing and miss stuff. His changeup is an elite changeup. It's not this one to get soft contact. That's a swing and miss changeup. He has a very good slider, curveball the same, and he runs that fastball anywhere between 94 and 97. And Langer, you're exactly right, because I get a great view of him right here.
Yep.
And we've talked about it, you know, on our own about this. If he can stay a little bit taller on his back legs, a better balance, and keep it, maybe have a little bit more of a hip turn to give himself a chance to be able to get that arm up and be able to land that front foot where the arm's in good throwing position every time, he would dominate, absolutely dominate any hitter at the plate.
Here's again the bottom of the order, giving the Angels some trouble. They got things started back in the third inning against Jose Quintana, who started off so nicely, retired the first 6 batters, 5 strikeouts, and then everything just came falling in the third inning when Tampa Bay scored 4 times on 5 hits. Okay, so Sandoval, Gooby, you talk about the hip turn, but Langer, how do you fix this and keep it simple for him?
Yeah, to me, boy, there's little things that you could do. And I had a big leg kick. There's a reason I had a big leg kick, because I needed all that stuff going on to kind of sync it up, because otherwise I was always a lower half guy too. So my lower half would fire too quickly. My arm was playing catch up. The ball is usually elevated in the strike zone. So I had the bigger leg kick to allow everything to sync up a little bit more. I mean, that would be one thing, as Gooby talked about, a turn. That would help slow things down. I would still slide him a little bit more on the mound towards the first base bag, pitch from that first base side, and teach him the angle into the righties.
That's a power changeup right there.
There it is, that changeup.
Yes,
it is
exactly.
a swing and miss changeup.
Yes. You know what, guys, as you talk about leg kicks, I know we always hear Juan Marichal, right? The exaggeration. Balance. You talk about leg kick. Your knee was pointing straight up, by the way. But is it taught? Is it not necessarily something that comes naturally for a guy? Would you encourage it to certain guys, or no in today's game?
You know, you talk about Juan Marichal. I grew up in the Bay Area, so Juan Marichal and Vida Blue were 2 guys that I mimicked my mechanics. And I had a big leg kick in Little League.
Wow.
From watching those guys and really trying to mimic those guys. And we had the opportunity.
Hold on, Lang. Look where your knee's pointing right here. Straight up.
Yeah. And it's I needed that to slow. I needed everything to sync up. So the bigger the leg kick got, it allowed my arm to catch up.
Yes.
But we got the opportunity to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony for Vladdy Guerrero, and at the party that the Angels hosted for Vladdy, Juan Marichal is there.
Yes.
And I'd never met him, and it was an unbelievable thrill for me to go up and just introduce myself and said, hey, you were like one of my guys as a kid growing up that I try to mimic everything that you did on the mound with that. His leg kick was way higher than mine ever was.
Kiermaier goes down, guys. You got to love the matchup here. Lefty-lefty, and the strikeout from Sandoval.
And another good slider. He's had a couple good changeups, but even going back to Juan Marichal at that same party, I remember asking him to take a picture with me, and he's like, you do? I'm like, oh, you have no idea. And I still have that picture. I even framed it home as well, and it was still one of the biggest thrills for me to be able to meet him and have a conversation with him, but also take a picture with him. But the one guy that I always wanted to watch and get a chance to talk to and emulate was Tom Seaver, because I was a drop and drive guy. As you remember that, Langer, and
Yep.
Same thing, Jose, where I was getting my knee dirty when I was driving towards the plate. So I didn't have necessarily a high leg kick, but I would force myself to have even more so of a hip turn to make sure my elbow and arm got in the right position. That's what I think you have to see here from Patrick Sandoval. Just that hip turn enough, because he doesn't bring the leg up high, but if you turn that hip in, and even that for a potential throw with a first base would allow you to have a freezer runner as well from here. You could see that, but just turn that hip in, give you better balance, and then drive towards the plate.
A good friend of the family, Juan Marichal. I have a great story about Juan, who told me one time he's locked in with Warren Spahn in this battle, right? Like 12, 13, 14 innings. Manager comes out and says, Juan, I think the time is now. He goes, hey, if that old man is still out there, you're not taking me out. That's what he said about Warren Spahn. Is if he's still out there, you're not taking me out because I am much younger. And what a gentleman and a great ambassador for the game Marichal has been throughout his life. By the way, the first Dominican-born Hall of Famer. And after him, Pedro Martinez. And after him, as you mentioned, you both were there, Vladimir Guerrero.
How incredible was that weekend? That was a thrill of a lifetime to be there with Vlad.
The Angels put on the best showcase and just making it so easy for the family, for Vlad to be at ease and welcoming Angels fans. It was just a wonderful time for all of us in Cooperstown.
It was. It was one of those special events that in your lifetime you just felt so blessed to be part of. Just to be around those guys. We talked about Vladdy, but there was a couple other guys. I played with Jim Thome. I played with Trevor Hoffman. They were all going in the exact same time. To be able to sit and kind of just talk to those guys as they're experiencing this, the greatest honor you could have as a baseball player.
Such an out of this world, experience, Groove, when you're around those guys and you're able to talk to them. And some of them even recognizing us as broadcasters. And we saw Jack Morris, we see Alan Trammell, you mentioned Hoffman, Chipper Jones. Their stories, so enriching all the way around. And the way they tell it, so much fun, pretty much like you guys.
How much fun was that just to be able to have conversations as Sandoval finished it up there. All the guys talking to us, from Gaylord Perry's and George Brett, all those guys being there. It was unbelievable.
Well, we talk about the Dominican dandy. There he is, Juan Marichal, number 27.
Check that late kick out.
I think it's a pretty good chance I would fall as soon as I tried doing that one. Incredible pitcher.
Right there. I did that as a kid. I tried to emulate him, and Vida Blue. Vida Blue was with the Oakland A's. Juan Marichal obviously with the Giants.
There were like 7 pitches, by the way. All controlled, Juan Marichal. Fletcher, top of the order, Ohtani and Trout against Tyler Glasnow. Only allowed 2 hits to the Angels. And there's a strike for Fletch. Fletch hit the ball very hard last time up. Pretty much a ball that found the glove of Tyler Glasnow. As he lined out to the pitcher. Grounded out to the shortstop, leading up the game. Angels with 2 hits, the Rays with 5 hits, but they have 6 runs. Angels, no runs.
Well, there's not a lot of wasted movement in his getting in position to throw the baseball. Glasnow, great balance. Get a great view from down here on the field. And even though as tall as he stays pretty compact.
Yep, and it's always an issue with guys this tall is mechanics, is syncing everything up. Randy Johnson, for all those years, talked about how hard it was being 6'10" to get everything synced up. Gooby, you know, from your height, there's a lot to it. And we talked about watching Sandoval and rushing too much and keeping everything in sync. And Shohei, who's on deck, I think he's got some of the smoothest mechanics. Everything seems to be right in order when he attacks home plate.
You guys talk about Shohei Ohtani mechanics. I mean, Joe Madden calls him pretty. So he's got pretty mechanics.
Yes, he does.
And it's too bad we couldn't see him pitch tonight. But guys, he's day by day, by the way. An update on Shohei Ohtani, who got hit by that pitch yesterday. Justice Sheffield in Seattle. And it's good to know that at least Joe said possibility against the Dodgers, yes, but no guarantees.
Right.
But today was a big day. You know, getting hit like that, today was a day of finding out where his arm was, stiffness, any swelling and things like that, right?
Yep, certainly the treatment, having the luxury of getting to the ballpark early. Shohei, he doesn't miss anything. He turns over all the stones. Got here early, got the treatment. They're monitoring that hour by hour. They're constantly on top of him, knowing how important that right arm is for the Angels. And they just weren't going to take any chances and just make sure that thing's feeling perfect before he gets back out on the mound.
And how well he ran the bases back in the first inning. The ground ball turns into a double, trying to steal third base.
He's got 8 home runs and 20 RBI. Hit it high, center field. Shohei sayonara again. Take your time, Shohei. That is number 9. And just like that, it's 5-2 Rays. Goodness.
What a shot. What a view from down here. We were mentioning Bo Jackson. That was Bo Jackson type territory in the '89 All-Star game. Boy, was that baseball crushed by Shohei. Yeah, he's back in the lineup. 2 extra base hits today. Giving him now 18 on the season. Extra base hits. He gets that breaking ball out over the plate, and he lifts that one out by a mile.
Well, you talked about it, Gooby, how he has the ability to stay back on the breaking ball. This is a slider. It doesn't do much. It spins over the heart of the plate. And a guy like Shohei, you can see he stays back, keeps his hands back, full extension. This is a no doubter. It was as high as it was far.
And the amazing thing is, it was no real leg kick. This a slight shift in his weight of his body, and he's driving off that back leg to create that lift, and how far that baseball went in the air and how far it went. That's fun to watch down here. I'll tell you, it is fun to watch a home run ball from here. I didn't like giving them up, but I know you didn't like giving them up either, Langer. But when you're down here and somebody else giving up a home run, it's fun to see.
Exactly.
That is number 9 for Shohei Ohtani and 22 RBI, and the Angels are on the board with 1 swing. And here's Trouty, 0 for 1 today. He takes a strike right off the margins there by Adrian Johnson. It's 1-2.
And that pitch right there is the 85th pitch for Glasnow here in the 6th. So the Angels, even though they have not done much on the scoreboard, they have elevated the pitch count.
I love these conversations here. And they're talking about that breaking ball right there. Google, you see that, Langer? There's Walsh as a left-handed batter asking the right questions.
Yeah. Where were you able to track that one? Where did you see that out of his hand? That looked like it was a slider more so than his curveball. So he get it before it gets down and starts that break below the strike zone. Be ready to pull the trigger a little bit earlier on it so you can lift it up.
Question is, how good a hitter is Ipe now getting all that information?
Yes, he is. His Trout goes down for the 2nd time. And I'll tell you what, guys, the strikeouts have been prevailing throughout this ballgame on both sides.
Well, the Tampa Bay Rays, they come into the game tonight. They are a team that will swing and miss. They came in 3rd in the American League in strikeouts. Angels, on the other hand, one of the tougher teams to strike out, but you're facing one of the premier pitchers in the American League who is on his game tonight. Just that little mistake that Shohei, that little spinner over the middle of the plate, is really the only mistake he's made tonight, and he paid for that one. And with that, the Angels do climb back into this ballgame. Still plenty of time.
We just put it into perspective when you go back to yesterday, getting hit by a pitch. you steal 2 bags. You hit a double today with your legs, and then you hit a home run like this. Nice little backflip from Shohei Ohtani as well. Love it.
Billy, you know what I love there? He did not sprint around the bases.
No.
Oh, no.
No, it says Adam Rosales, he could be the guy that's known to sprint around the bases when you hit a home run.
Here's another one. High left field, way back. Adios. Anthony Rendon connects against Glasnow. And just like that, it's 5-3 Rays here in the 6th inning.
What do we say about Glasnow? Let him provide the power for you. Just use the barrel of the bat, and it will go a long way. Rendon hit a shot, his first at bat to right field. A line drive that was caught. This one way out left field.
And
the bullpen.
He gets jumps all over this fastball, and he doesn't miss it. It is up in the zone, but not high enough. And for Tyler Glasnow, he came into the game allowing just 2 home runs this season. He's had 2 home runs in this inning.
Angels
and they caught it out there with the hat. Slager, I think, he made the play on that one. He's channeling his Noe Ramirez with the hat catch in the bullpen on a home run ball.
Nicely done. He's got the size advantage of the movie.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
It's like, you know, that'd be a pretty good jump ball between Glasnow and Slegers. And they're old teammates.
Rudy, as you well know, this is always a game of momentum, and it's been all on the side of the Tampa Bay Rays with Glasnow. The Angels jumping on him with a couple of 3 runs here in this inning. You feel it's starting to switch over to the Angels dugout.
Yeah, and it's all about your bullpen putting up some zeros, allow you to get some of that momentum going forward. Pepper Sandoval doing a real nice job of putting up a zero. Now the conversations down on the mound, thinking they better slow things down. Control, not there. 2 home runs in the inning now, a 2-0 count. As good as Glasnow has been, all of a sudden the hitters feel he's hittable.
Visit to the mound by pitching coach, guys. Momentum. You see the dugout immediately get a little more vibrant. And I think also the responsibilities, you guys can correct me here, the guy in the mound for the Angels in making sure this deficit stays however it ends here this inning, if that's the case.
Yeah, you got to put that 0 up the very next inning, but still some momentum going here. You got to keep it going, especially for Walsh, who crushes fastballs himself.
Here's the 2-0. Well, I think that Walsh is applying well any information given to him by Shohei Ohtani in that dugout exchange, huh?
And the thing with a pitcher like Glasnow who throws everything really hard, the thing is when the game gets going a little bit quicker on you, try to throw a little bit harder. Your fastball straightens out. Your breakable doesn't have that late break to it. And all of a sudden, you let the opponent back in there because you don't have any pitch to maybe get a hitter out in front and then go back to the hard stuff. Everything's hard and firm right now, and he's running into mistakes.
It all started with a walk to a guy that doesn't walk a whole lot in flesh, and then Shohei connects. Strikeout to Trout. Home run Rendon. Here's a walk.
They're down here now. The Uptown Funk crew, they're ready to go. They're hoping for one swing of the bat to tie it up.
Because their guy is coming up.
Yep.
Here's Justin Upton walking a strikeout. He saw 100 miles an hour that time out when he struck out. One swing, and this is a new ball game. Here's a strike from Glasnow. Upton, 5 home runs, 12 RBI. And by the way, as you mentioned, and we saw on the graphic, Shohei Ohtani now ties for the American League lead with 9 home runs with J.D. Martinez of Boston.
By the way, still, this the funny part of it, 6 stolen bases in 7 attempts too, or they make that 8 attempts now, like caught stealing today.
So in a minute, that's a good tight pitch. You know, we're joking, Ruby, you and I, that if it's up to Ohtani, he probably would have 10 to 12 stolen bases. Langer, you agree? He wants to run.
He wants to run, and Joe Madden said, hey, he's got the green light. Anytime he feels like he can go and get a jump, and all of that is learning pitchers, learning how quick they are. He's got the speed. If he gets any kind of jump, he should be able to steal 20 bags, really, if he just not even trying with that speed that he has.
Nice job, Mejia. Guri, what are you seeing for this young catcher? He's been busy out there today, huh?
Yeah, and knowing that you're going to deal with a hard breakable, hard curveball and slider, and even on occasion overthrowing fastball. He's done a nice job as far as what I'm seeing is he keeping his body low, anticipating the ball in the dirt, but keeping the glove down between the legs to keep that in front of him, but also squaring up his shoulders so nothing get by him.
That's a good take right there by Upton.
And it looks like the Angels are being so much more patient, laying off that breaking ball, knowing that Glasnow is struggling here in the 6th inning. And we saw that spinner that he threw Shohei Ohtani didn't do anything, stayed over the heart of the plate. That's what Jay Up is looking for right here.
Well, he's overthrown.
This is the game, 3-2 now. Pools on deck. And just like that, Gubby, those pitches are piling up.
Yeah. And a lot of pitches well out of the strike zone. Earlier, even when he missed, he didn't miss by a lot. Now he's missing by a bunch. 3-2 count, 1 out. With Albert Pujols on deck and a pitcher that can strike out a batter, I don't think you send Walsh. You have to have a lot of trust in Upton making contact if you do.
He stays at first. Left side. Backhanded. Adames at second. The first. Double play. But Ruby Langer, I think we love seeing these fireworks right here, huh?
Loving it. Hey, by the way, great view down here. I knew they were gone. I knew how when the baseball squared up. They were way gone.
New game. Top of the 7th inning, Patrick Sandoval has worked effectively for 1 2/3 innings so far, coming in relief. How about the strikeouts here tonight, guys? 15 on 29 hitters tonight. There's been 2 groundouts and 1 flyout. And in fact, for the Rays, you think about 18 outs the Angels have recorded, 15 via the strikeout.
That's not unusual for the Rays, and it was a formula that actually worked for them getting to the World Series last year. They have a great bullpen. They rely on the home run ball. They like patience at the plate to try to work walks, and they make good defensive plays.
3, 4, and 5 for the Rays here in the 7th. They lead by 2. Meadows, Diaz, and Margot. Nice off speed for Sandoval. Maybe he's been listening to Mark Langston. Slowing things down.
Yeah, that was a dandy changeup. And a lot of times you won't see that lefty-lefty matchup, that changeup to a lefty, but Sandoval's got that plus changeup.
Gubby and I always talk about this. Langer, why not more changeup lefty-lefty?
My roommate, when we actually had roommates when I first came up with Seattle, was Alvin Davis, the Rookie of the Year in 1984. He was my roommate, so I got to talk to one of the premier left-handed hitters, and Alvin, a former Angel, played with the Angels. And he told me one time that Frank Viola, former pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, and he played with a bunch of other teams, would always throw him a changeup. He said he never saw a changeup from a lefty. He said it messed him up. And the light went off, and I went, all right, I'm going to try it. I remember I did it to Don Mattingly, who had a lot of success against me. And I remember throwing it and seeing him so far out in front of it, and he stared me down like, what? Where did that come from? And once you see that, then you go, oh, my gosh. And you wish you would have started it a lot earlier. But Don Mattingly, really, that hammered home how important that pitch could be. The lefty-lefty changeup.
I wonder what Mattingly did against you guys.
No, come on, Jose. Well, I thought we were friends, man.
We still are.
Yeah.
But we'll also tell the truth.
I remember one of those 3 home runs he had off me, a hanging breaking ball upper deck at Yankee Stadium. I threw it and I went, no! And just watched him turn and burn. And they were rocking and rolling in the Bronx after that one.
He had to earn your home runs, right? Because they're the big K.
Yeah, no, they got me there at Yankee Stadium as well.
How about this one? How about Fletch? How about short right field? Out.
I'm looking how far that throw is for David Fletcher. That is an unbelievable play by Fletch.
Guys, remember, he is playing shortstop tonight.
This is a great play, and he's the point on the 3-man shift out in the outfield, and he actually goes back another probably 10 feet. But the quick hands of David Fletcher, I don't think anybody has quicker hands on this team than David Fletcher. Gets it and puts it right on the money to Albert. David Fletcher, we saw him a lot at short last year, and he is a guy that, again, Joe Bann talks so much about him. What a player he is. He, as Joe refers, he is a baseball player. Put him out anywhere, and he will get the job done.
He plays some outfield as well. Played left. He'll play some right. Second, he was a Gold Glove finalist at third base just a few seasons ago.
By the way, guys, I do love the defensive change there and having Fletch in short right and not Rojas in that situation because he is more familiar with that territory. And that comes from Joe Madden and Brian Butterfield.
How quick was that transfer, too? Getting that ball in the glove and getting out as quick as possible with a lefty going down the line like that. You have to be quick.
Yandy Diaz, 1 for 2 today. Hits it hard. That's the second hit of the game. Base hit clean into left field.
And that right there, that's a great changeup from Sandoval. This ball's not a bad pitch. He does everything you're looking for. Gets him on his front foot, but he's just able to keep just enough back and just flip it through the hole on the left side. And it looks like Joe Madden is going to come out and go to the bullpen.
After 39 pitches. Nice job by Patrick Sandoval making his Angels debut here in 2021. He'll leave one aboard, and here comes Junior Guerra. The Angel Stadium Team Store is open for shopping. How about that? Beautiful items. Visit the Angel Stadium Team Store Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. to get the newest Angels gear. We're talking about your grandson. My grandson, Luke, is at the game today. My goodness, what a treat. And I know Mom and Dad made their way to the team store today.
Believe it.
But boy, happily to pass along those things in tradition to our little ones. Huh?
It's the best to be able to, again, bring your grandkids, your kids to the ballpark and be able to share those experiences. I had girls. I had 2 girls, so they didn't get to go down in the locker room. So now my grandsons, now it's fun to have them connect with the game of baseball. And again, my oldest grandson ever had that opportunity to go kind of hang out with Mike Trout and even go to spring training and watch Trout hit in the cage. Yeah. Fantastic. Trout actually gave him one of his bats.
Wow.
Yep. Which is, he went nuts.
Hey, here's Luke.
Yes.
There
That's
he
a great
is.
one. Oh, how great is that?
Oh, man, what a blessing. Oh, he knows. He's a ham. Like, hey, abuelo, what do you get to do? Oh, you're looking at the camera at the red light, right?
He's got it down to an art already.
It's only his second game. He had not been here, obviously, because of the pandemic last year, like every fan. But, boy, how fun to have him here. And he was pointing at himself going, me, on the field. I'm like, no, not yet. Maybe in about 20 years, you'll be down on the field.
Well, it's great to see the fans here. Boy, that fan base was going crazy last half inning. If Garrett can get a ground ball, double play, get that offense going again.
Boy, by the way, yeah, down there you get the reaction and the echo on the bold, you know, and this is, 12, 13,000 fans, and it feels like 30 and 40,000 down there.
Yeah, really loud. And Gooby now being down there on Mota Island, you were able to see the reaction in the Angels dugout last inning.
Yeah, I mean, it was they were getting into this game and went from, boy, we're having a tough time maybe making good contact against glass. Now that all of a sudden, hey, we're right back in the game. You put up a 0 out of the bullpen here, you're just a bloop and a blast away from tying the game up where you thought earlier there was no chance that was a possibility.
We've said it time and time again. The Angels came into today leading the American League in average, right up there in slugging percentage, OPS. Runs are not an issue. Yeah, you're going to have your dry spots, but it's going to come down to what we saw today again, starting and pitching, giving the opposite chance. It is a long season. You guys both know it. But you know what? One question I have for both of you is the amount of innings that are going to all of a sudden jump up on everybody because of the shortened season last year. Are you pacing yourself at some point, Gubi?
Yeah, or no? It's not going to be easy. You know, usually you would pencil yourself in if you had less than 200 innings pitched, you had a disappointing season. But now, when you had a 60-game sprint of a season last year, it becomes even more difficult for starting pitchers to stretch down.
That's a close play. Boy, runners in motion right there by Kevin Cash, the Tampa Bay Rays manager. And Margot thinks perhaps that he beat it out.
Now, I love my angle right here, by the way. I'm going to be an umpire here today. He got him.
Hey, Gubi, by the way, got to be careful with third base umpire, okay?
I know Brian Gordon pretty well. I already said hi to him, so I think he's all right with me.
Wow, another very close play. Rays not going to challenge this play. David Fletcher, those quick hands, gets rid of it and gets it over to Albert just in time.
That transfer is off the charts.
And we've already seen two amazing plays by David Fletcher in this inning.
Clean shaven, maybe even got a haircut, David Fletcher.
This is a huge situation right here. Angels trailing by only 2 runs. And in scoring position now, 7th inning for Guerra. Facing Brandon Lau, who struck out 3 times tonight.
Be aggressive. He's always aggressive on first pitch.
We'll stop there by Suzuki.
Another thing that you would love to see the Angels clean up on is those inherited runners scoring. So this is a big moment here for Junior Guerra.
The Rays came into this game, guys, batting .191 with runners in scoring position. Tonight, they've been really good. They're 3 for 9.
Man, they were dead last in the American League with runners in scoring position. As you mentioned tonight, they've been able to capitalize.
Are those numbers that you guys might have had available back then as to which team really made adjustments with men on base or men in scoring position?
Yeah, you always knew that. You always knew what hitter was always going to be pretty tough to get out with runners in scoring position. And you, at times, you checked your ego at the door when you knew that guy was coming to plate in an RBI situation. You had a base open. You look at who's on the on-deck circle and think, you know, I'll take my chances with him as well, because when a guy is hot, especially a run producer, and there's a guy in scoring position, you're better off taking your chances with someone else.
Langer, do you know which teams gave you trouble or had the best approach?
No question. I was going to ask Gubi that. What your scouting report? What did you do your preparation before your start? What information were you looking for? Because back in the day, we didn't have the availability of the information these players get now.
Boy, Fletch is everywhere.
Wow. Get it done, Fletch. In fact, Fletch, you know what? Play second base too if you want to. 5-3, Rays. Hey, let's look at our frontier play since Shohei Ohtani. Guys, swinging over the top of the breaking ball, right? Let me go back and get some information. Jeremy Reed and the advice. Google, you and I talked about this today. Get under those curveballs and look what happens.
Yeah, you got to be able to try to lift those baseballs up. If you get on top of that baseball, you beat it in the ground or swing over top of it. And that was a great swing on Shohei Ohtani. Just that adjustment he made, just looking at a video to be able to see where that break is going to be, where's my best chance to make a good hard contact with it, and he did.
And Langer, you threw that big hook. You saw more swings over it than under it, I believe, correct?
Well, we just saw those 2 at-bats for Shohei. One that was executed really well by Glasnow, down and out of the strike zone. Shohei over the top of it. Another one that doesn't get to the spot. It hangs, and that's what great players do. If an elite pitcher's on his game and makes his pitches, good luck to you. It's going to be a tough night. You look for that mistake, and that's exactly what Shohei Ohtani got, was that mistake by Glasnow, who really didn't make any mistakes in this game until we saw last inning. The hanging slider to Ohtani, and then that bomb by Anthony Rendon that was right down the middle.
Well, guys, new arm on the mound here for the Rays. Glasnow goes 6 innings, allowing 4 hits, 3 runs ever earned, 2 home runs, 4 walks, and 8 strikeouts. He made 99 pitches. Jeffrey Springs, welcomed by Albert Pujols with a clean single left field. Good start for the Angels here in the 7th.
Jose, what you say about exit velocity? Albert, wow, that was a rocket.
At age 41, continues to get it done.
Albert 13th now on the all-time hit list.
Yeah, when I was down on Mota Island before the game, it was Albert was firing gum at me the whole time I was over there right before the open. I was sitting there trying to defend myself as Albert was peppering me with chewing gum.
Just when you think they're like all serious getting into a game,
exactly.
Here's a guy at 41 who's been around like 21 years, like, you know, hey, Langer, by the way, good to see you down there. Here's some gum for you.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Jose Iglesias will come in and pinch hit for Jose Rojas against the lefty Springs. Iglesias, who, by the way, Gooby, Joe Madden said today, I've been trying to talk him into an off day. He did not want it.
Yeah, you love to see that from a guy, especially coming over from another organization like Iglesias. He wants to win. He knows he could be a difference maker with the bat as well as with his glove.
It's all great to have you with us here on our Player Takeover broadcast. First of the year. Hit high in left field, but playable. Rosarena takes care of it. Pujols is tagging, and Pujols will be thrown out by a lot. He tried, but perhaps that was not the right time. Gunned down as Pujols, and just like that, there's 2 down this inning.
Yeah, ill-advised move right here by Albert. Albert's reading this, and I'm sure he's thinking, I've got an opportunity. Went back, immediately tagged up. This play's all in front of Albert, so when he takes off running, he's able to kind of take a peek and see if that throws on line or not. You can pop the chute at any point, but Albert continues his path and almost made a heck of a slide.
You know, he started to hesitate as he was going too, thinking, you know what, maybe I better stop, but then the momentum going forward, you know, to keep trying to go.
And a Rosarena out there, boy, good to throw into second base to get Albert.
And this is 3rd outfield assist of his career out in left field. So a slight little hesitation, and then the commitment to going.
Not the right time for Albert. And good defensive play by the Rays.
By the way, Iglesias dismissed that one too, by the way. He had a pretty good hack at it.
I was going to say, when I was down there where you were, Gooby, watching Iglesias the entire game, he was like a caged animal. He was not, he couldn't sit still. He was moving all over the place the entire game. And guys like that are used to playing every day, that day off they get, it's not comfortable for them. They don't know what to do.
They want to play. Well, I'm just looking in at the dugout. It's amazing watching all the players in there and Trout and everyone just looking at their iPads and figure out, okay, if I get a chance to swing the bat this inning, what am I looking for against?
And these iPads, by the way, have been refreshed now, where Jeremy Reed, the Angels hitting instructor, one of them along with Paul Sorrento and John Maley, they are in tune, and he says now they reflect more of the video room that we have inside, and that keeps guys in the dugout, which is a huge thing for both of you, I know.
Keeps you guys in the game too. It keeps the guys that are in the field or coming up in the batter's box, all that energy you feel from the players sitting in that dugout rooting for you to succeed.
Suzuki 1 for 2 today, 1-2 count. Gets it hard near the pole. Watch out, Gooby.
Pretty good sound down here.
The little catcher talk right here. That's like good call that pitch because I fouled it off kind of thing. What's going on there? Want the veteran, Gooby. little pad there. Oh boy. There's so many moments in the game that we as former players just see and go, I remember that. Hey, good call. I pulled it foul just what you want, right?
That's all that was designed for, to get me out in front and pull that one foul. I know exactly what you're trying to do.
And he's looking away now. Smart catcher will look away right now. Got him with a changeup away, and boy, sometimes the catching doesn't translate to the hitting, unfortunately, and the Angels go down what began as a promising inning. They lose by 2 right now. Well, Iglesias comes in to pinch it, stays in the game, so that puts Rojas on the bench and Fletcher at second base. So didn't I say, well, just play him at second base? He's been on that side making plays, right?
Exactly. He's made more plays on that side than he has at the shortstop position.
It has been a blast here on our player takeover as we celebrate the Angels' 60th anniversary. What a rich history for this organization going back to the Cowboy.
I remember coming up with the Seattle Mariners. Every time we came to the Big A to play the Angels, I was always in awe of the players that were on the Angels team. These were guys that I looked up to as a kid, and they were star-studded back in those days.
Oh, I mean, the Slurpee cups, the baseball cards, all they're like, wait a minute, we're facing these guys now? The biggest names in baseball history at some point wore that Angel uniform.
Yeah. I remember in '95, I was on the back then to the Sable list with the Royals, and I got to make the trip here in Southern California with the team. And Wally Joyner brought Mr. Autry to the clubhouse, and it's pretty much like everybody stopped.
Yeah,
before stretching. Remember that moment?
Oh yes.
Oh,
I mean, he was just a huge baseball fan. Huge baseball fan. We know he's the owner, but he just knew every player that ever put on a baseball uniform.
He was the best. Mr. Autry was the best. And when I signed with the Angels, it was a big factor. He was a big factor of why I signed with the Angels. He took me to his museum, which is up in L.A., his Western Museum, and walking through it, he'd never been through his museum when it was open to the public. And I was walking through with him, and literally the people were losing their mind as he was walking through. I felt like I was walking through with Michael Jackson at that point. It's like just to see these people, and he had time for every person there. He was such a gentleman, and he would come down to the clubhouse and always had a great conversation with you. And he told me one time the team wasn't scoring runs. He goes, "You want to take my cane and beat these hitters with it? Wake them up and score some runs for you." So he was involved so much with this organization and just really was the best. And you wanted to win so bad for him.
Fletch, go ahead, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
I'm looking at that. Is that like an outfield out? Because he's all way out in right field. So I'm going to say he played some plays in the outfield as well as second base and shortstop.
Hey, guys, by the way, it's not easy having played second base to be that deep and have to worry about sometimes the cut of the grass. And as an infielder, the snake issues that outfielders deal with.
And Jose is an infielder too. You're used to a certain hop on the dirt,
yes,
and then it stays down and true on the that outfield grass. That's got to be real hard. The adjustment you have to make as an infielder from the dirt to the grass, isn't it?
And beyond that, Gubi, yes, good point, is the longer throw that you have to make at a different angle that you're not used to making from second base. Think about that. But now guys spend time out there in batting practice is to repeat all those things. Hit real high by the batter, Adames. Trout takes care of it. So now, a quick word from Hyundai.
Up to 3 years of complimentary maintenance. It's yours on every new Hyundai.
Hey Langer, Gubi, spread your word with your friends about some of these upcoming player takeover, because it's been a great fun talking to you guys, and hopefully we'll get the Angels some runs here, but perhaps.
Comeback is on the way. Comeback is on the way. By the way, that ball was hit so high, I thought I could jump out of my seat here and run out there and catch it even with my suit on. That thing was up there that high. Although I used my better judgment and sat down there and didn't move an inch.
Just remember, Gubi, there's a wire attached to you. We don't want to lose you now. Guerra, quietly, doing a fine job. He's retired the first 4 batters he's faced.
Well, we talked about it earlier, Gubi. You mentioned it. It's up to this bullpen to keep this game right here, to allow that offense for the Angels to continue to strike and close the gap on the Tampa Bay Rays. So up to the Angels bullpen to throw those zeros up there.
And look who's coming up to start this inning. Next inning on the 8th, you got the top of the order with Fletch, followed by Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon.
Exactly what you're looking for later in the game. Top and middle part of that order. 1-1 to Kevin Kiermaier. He's gone down 3 times swing.
And with that being said, this isn't the typical Rays bullpen that we've seen in the past, where they were the dominant bullpen. Not so here in 2021. Their bullpen, 4.39 coming into this game. That's 12th in the American League. So it's not the lockdown bullpen that the Rays are accustomed to having.
Unless a key piece in Anderson.
And the thing is, so many clubs have patterned their bullpens after the successful bullpen we've seen for the Rays over the last couple of seasons, where different arm angles, you know, you have different speeds of pitchers, you know, their out pitches all different, so different looks. Every guy coming out of their bullpen, but it hasn't been as successful this year. You mentioned José Anderson not there. He was dominant.
Would it be 4 Ks for Kiermaier?
This is the guy too you want to get too, because he can run.
Boy, he can go get him with the best out there in center field. Multi-gold gloves. Not even a finalist last season, which baffled me.
He had a little incident the other week, last week.
Yes, he did.
In a game against the Oakland A's, where he literally ran to left field. Randy Rosarina was camped under a baseball as he takes that breaking ball down and will head to first base. Mitch Moreland was the runner at third base. Doesn't run real well. This ball was literally right to a Rosarina in left field. He came from center field all the way over, jumped in front of him, caught the baseball, and tried to throw out Moreland at the plate and didn't do it. And he had to really, afterwards, almost apologize, say, hey, you know, he said, I have the best throwing arm in baseball, is what he said. I'm one of the best defensive players. From a center fielder, I will do that every time. But it was so bizarre to see that play, and he's very much not shy of telling you how great he is from a defending standpoint.
Here's Rosarena right here.
He's got to be going here now with a gift walk there with 2 outs.
He's got 1 stolen base this season.
He doesn't have a real big lead though.
And Angera, I would say it's about picking the right pitch, Gubi.
Yeah, he's got that splitter and he throws it a lot. Rosarena is really good on a first pitch fastball, so he might see a splitter first pitch.
Any of you ever mess around with a splitter?
I threw my changeup, not a true splitter, but almost similar to a Dylan Bundy one, a split changeup that I learned from Mike Magnanti back in the day.
Was a talk then for you, Langer, about the issues with the elbows?
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
And I've seen too many people have elbow issues with the split. It is a elbow eater. And I saw, when I played with the Padres in '98, we got the chance to go to the World Series, and Dave Stewart was our pitching coach. Stu had one of the best splitters around in the game of baseball. He taught it to Andy Ashby, he taught it to Kevin Brown. Filthy, but certainly some elbow issues with both those guys came down the line. And that's a pitch, you know, Shohei, it's a great pitch for him, but that always scares me, that split.
It's softly to center field by Trout. Well positioned, and coming up for the Angels in the 8th. Yes, Shohei and his thunder. He sounded tonight, and Mike Trout, oh yeah, all ready for the Angels offense to hopefully make a comeback.
Going back to my Hyundai key for the game today, Battle of Evermore. They battled themselves back into the game, exactly where you want to be here now with David Fletcher leading off. Here's a single and a home run away from tying it up and potentially taking the lead here in this inning. They battled their way back. Now a chance to pull off the victory.
Lefty springs on the mound for the 2nd inning. He delivered the strike to Fletch. Grounded out to the shortstop, lined out to the pitcher, and walked, and eventually scored. 261 hitter. David Fletcher. Angels obviously issues against lefties. 224 coming into today. 277 against right-handers. Interesting positioning on the first baseman here. Langer. Yandy Diaz is off the bag but in on the grass.
Yep, trying to take away in case David Fletcher tries to push a bunt that direction. Also, Fletcher, everybody knows he loves to go the opposite way, trying to cover as much ground as possible.
I still think that was an odd positioning there because he punches the ball down the first baseline a lot on the ground.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Gobi. 1 out. And now it's time for an Arco top tier play. Who else? 6th inning. Oh, that's thunder. Shohei Ohtani for number 9. Time for the American League lead. 22 RBIs, and Anthony Rendon, guys, that sweet swing is coming back. And connecting well.
Anthony Rendon, boy, that is special when that swing of Rendon starts to get locked in. This is a absolutely scary lineup. The Angels, the depth that they have.
Swing is by Shohei.
Yeah, he was trying to go back-to-back home runs with that swing, but you put it in perspective now. The Angels are plus 12 as far as run differential, 7th inning and later at home. Here's your shot.
Brett Phillips now a left field for the Rays. Shohei 2 for 3 today. Shows bunt and could not hold up. We saw him do that before, Gooby, against the Rangers. It got the base hit.
So much room over there. That's a great move by him. You still need a hit and then a home run potentially to tie it up. There's a lot of room. Third base line.
There's one thing I don't like about that move, Gooby. Not 0-1. It's my opinion. Still like the effort, no doubt. Here's the 0-2.
Yeah, the thought process was outstanding. He knows if he gets on, who's behind him. And it's the Thunder coming up with Trout, Rendon, Walsh.
Batting from the right side against the lefty, too, but more likely you might see a bullpen arm come out after this at bat by Shohei Ohtani. But Joe Maddon always raves about how smart Shohei Ohtani is on the baseball side.
Close pitch right there on the tape. Hits it hard, left field, Phillips. Playable. And he makes a catch right in front of the track. Come into the game and the ball will find it. That's 2 down.
Hit well the other way.
Hey, ever find yourselves like, you know, in awe of a player? Mike Trout. I got to play with Mike Trout. I got to play against him. As we see this one again. But is there a player that you guys really wanted to meet, say, in BP as a visiting team?
You know, just having the opportunity to play with, you talked about Hall of Famers. To me, playing with Dave Winfield, and I know we've talked a lot about Dave Winfield and how special Dave Winfield was. Just having that opportunity to watch, facing him all those years, and all of a sudden he's on your team and you get to see what he's capable of doing. Even though he was a little longer in the tooth when he was with the Angels. Just, we talk a lot about what we see with Albert, and Albert obviously first ballot, probably potentially unanimous Hall of Famer. But to see that just what these guys do on a daily basis is special. So that to me was one of the biggest thrills of playing, is being able to face a guy and see and know his presence against you, and all of a sudden he's in your dugout and being able to listen to conversations.
Trout 0 for 2 today with a walk, a couple strikeouts. Hits it hard.
There it is.
Base hit left field. And Gooby, I bring that up because, you know, even now things are differently now. Well, we see a lot of teams do the same thing when they see Mike Trout on the field before a game.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that I really loved that had a chance to be able to play with too was Kirk Gibson. Just to be able to, the intensity of him as an opponent, but then as a teammate, he had that same intensity every single day, and the focus to win and beat the opponent every day. You see that with Trout. It's great to be able to see that.
So with one swing, we can see a new game as the pitching change is coming for Rendon. '28-year-old Ryan Thompson makes his way to the mound here for the Rays as manager Kevin Cash likes his matchup. But Gooby, from your angle there, I mean, this guy looks like a very uncomfortable at bat for a right-hander, huh?
Yeah, you would think so, but when I look and know who's coming to the plate with Anthony Rendon, the way he has his hands set up, I think he's got a good chance of making a good pass at it and hit this ball hard, because that arm angle he's throwing at, the way his hands are set up, he's got a good chance of getting that barrel out quickly, maybe hooking one down the line here in left field.
It'll be Rendon who homered in his last at bat. He's 1 for 3. Hit the ball hard, as you mentioned, Gooby. You love that swing in that first inning when he lined out to the right fielder. So Rendon now 3 home runs, 11 RBI, 1 swing, and we can have a very interesting game here.
Just watch how he has his hands set up, even from a pitcher that throws from this arm angle.
Excellent speed at first base with Trout. 2 down. Angels down by 2 here in the 8th.
And usually you would think, although when you're down by 2, you want to give Rendon every opportunity to tie the game up, but Guy that throws from the side, you can usually get a pretty good jump against him. It's going to be a longer throwing motion from a sidearmer.
What's the mentality here for a pitcher, Langer?
Well, you can see where Thompson is not. He is doing it with deception, trying to drop down and make a different look. And that's a lot of what we see with Joe Madden, the bullpen he has to work with. He wants different looks, different arm angles. Had the lefty throwing. And Joe Madden's talked about it. Every at-bat, when he uses the bullpen, he wants these guys to have a different look. And right here, this is what Kevin Cash is doing, having a big, tall guy at 6'5" drop down from the side to give Rendon a different look than what he's seen. Glasnow was over the top.
Tied him up, and this one got a piece of Rendon, and this one is hurting, no doubt. Even with all the protection he has.
Well, this is off his knee.
Yeah.
Bottom part of his leg. He is in pain.
Yeah, that's a full swing, and it looks like it caught him on the knee.
And Rendon is as tough as they come, but that one got him square.
There's another look.
Oh,
right on the inside of the knee, yes.
Yep, left knee. And that's a full swing, and I don't know what exit velocity this is, but that is right off the kneecap. Oh.
And the fans are reacting here.
Yeah.
At the ballpark. There's no doubt we don't see Rendon stay down for long.
Nope.
I said he's
situations like this.
Tough as you could find.
Right off the kneecap on the left knee.
Not exactly what the Angels are looking for here.
Nope.
As they've been losing some bodies.
Not only that, but the swing of Rendon is just starting to heat up. He's done.
Not surprised, guys, by the velocity and then getting the top of that baseball right into the knee. And what is a huge at bat right now. Remember, the Angels, Rojas started this game at second base. He's out of the game now because he came out with a pinch hitter.
And there's not a lot of options as far as extra players as Joe Madden's looking at his scorecard to see who he would potentially put up here. I imagine there's a good chance that Schebler would be coming up.
Yep. He's headed to the on-deck circle. Well, Joe Madden knows that Schebler is a guy with one swing of the bat, can tie this ball game, and then he'll sort things out later. Right now, the Angels down by a couple. We'll worry about the defensive side once they get through this inning.
Question becomes, who do you flip to third base, Gooby, or what option do you have? And what do you want to feel, especially on what is right now a close ball game? Who knows, after this inning, he might have a lead.
And you would have potentially, you have Max Stassi be able to play somewhere potentially in the infield. You could move Fletch over to third base. But Albert, you know, Albert is going to be saying, heck, I could play third, and he has a glove right now as a third baseman. Albert is the ultimate team guy. I see him with a glove right now.
And he's done it before.
Yeah. He came up as a third baseman, as you remember.
I just saw Albert talking to Rojas, sending Rojas into the clubhouse right now. Your side, you see that?
Yeah. He's got a glove. He's got a different glove. It's not a first baseman's mitt.
Well, tried at first. In a big moment, Scott Schebler with plenty of power facing the right-hander. There it is. He's done it before. He's played a little third base for the Angels.
Played back in 2019, the third base for the Angels.
And the power threat is alive here with Scott Schebler.
Yeah, usually when you come off the bench, you're up there hacking first pitch.
And it is a one-on-one count. It's not a Mue B, obviously. Swings and skies it in our direction. Will land under us.
Hey, gold glove winner. You got that ball, Mark Langston?
Much more comfortable up here than I was down where you were. Especially, I know Jose's right next to me also, so.
I'm diving, man. I don't have my glove. I'm ducking.
Hey, that's unusual for you, Jose. You always have that glove.
You know what? I got to work on that. I'm a little bit off. So the guy starts the at-bat against the right-hander Rendon. Now his mind has to change quickly against a lefty who can hurt you if you miss. Trotty at first. Swing and a miss. No problems whatsoever for Ryan Thompson. Gets it done, and the Angels go down. Heading to the ninth, trailing by 2. Well, as anticipated, the limited options force manager Joe Madden to put Albert Pujols, who's played plenty of third base a long time ago, but Pujols wanted to pick the right glove too, guys.
He had a couple options.
And for Albert, you know that he is a guy that as soon as he saw that happen, you know that was running through his mind already, thinking, all right, I'm going to be the guy that's going to go over there.
I'm right there with you because you know Albert, he is all about playing and trying to win.
Yeah, Walsh playing first base. He went right away and got his first baseman mitt as well.
Walsh at first. Schebler now in right. And right side Iglesias on the mound. He's been solid the last couple of outings with scoreless innings. And what has been a bit of a shaky start to his Angels career. El Ciclón delivers 96 down in the zone.
I think the more consistent work he starts getting, you'll see that he's got just 3 wipeout pitches.
You guys ever have a closer that you played with that had so many pitches that sometimes it was tough to control all that stuff right below us? Or you guys see closers that can a 1 and 2 or 1, 2, 3 and I'm done. But guys with 5, 6 pitches, could that be a detractor sometimes?
Yes. I saw with the Cleveland Indians, Paul Shuey, and he had 5 unbelievable pitches. But he would get in trouble because he tried to use them all instead of trusting maybe 1 or 2.
That's a pretty good split right there, Gooby, huh? That's a drop on that one.
Yeah, real good one. He's got a plus changeup going. And I always believe that if you're going to be in this role, 2 pitches is all you need. And a lot of times when it was, back in the day, it was a failed starter that ended up moving into a reliever's role because they didn't quite have enough pitches to go 3 or 4 times through a lineup so you can settle in reliever position.
Hit hard. Upton, no problem, 1 out.
Hey, Justin's really getting good routes and good jumps on baseballs this year in left field.
Can't say enough about the job of Langer and by Bruce Hines. Jeter is back, and he has spent so much time with these guys in spring training. You know what? And he's not afraid. He's not afraid of the name of the back of the uniform to say it is a common thing. We need to get better with defense in the outfield. The guys have responded quite well to him.
He's one of my favorite all-time coaches. He was there with the Angels when in 1991 when he got his first opportunity at the big league level. He is into every pitch. And I have talked to him, and he says when he gets to the ballpark, he just becomes in game mode, doesn't really want to talk to anybody outside of that Angels locker room. So he is locked in, and it's all about trying to teach these guys and pass along the knowledge that he has. And he's one of the best at working with outfielders, and he also does the base running. And with that being said, it looks like Shohei much better on the bases this year than we've seen in the past.
I'm right there with you. And we're talking about Bruce Hines, Angels first base coach, outfield instructor. Walsh is busy. Gooby, did you know the ball was going to find him?
Always. But you know, if it's going to go to somebody, that's the baseball you want to go to. Jared Walsh is already, in my opinion, an elite fielder at first base. We talked about Wally Joyner earlier. Wally was an outstanding defender, but Jared Walsh is really, really good with the glove, and it's always a perfect feed to the pitcher covering that bag as well.
Yep.
So impressive.
Angels have had a great tradition at that actual position. You mentioned Wally Joyner. You had Rod Carew prior to that.
JT Snow.
JT Snow was one of the greatest that I've seen. And obviously Albert comes over. He was a Gold Glover when he first arrived here with the Angels.
Guys, you remember how good Scott Spezia was? First base?
Ersty was pretty good at first base as well.
Exactly.
That was a great history.
By the way, it was pretty cool. Albert looking in the dugout, telling me, where do I go? Where do you want me to position myself at third base? And it was like, go back a little bit. You're all right. Don't worry about the bunt.
Good start here for Iglesias. He's pounding the zone, guys. 10 pitches, 7 strikes for Rysel.
He's got great stuff. Bottom line, from different arm angles as well.
Hit hard. right through the shifted second baseman. Fletch cannot come out with it. Nice piece of hitting there by Yandy Diaz. He's got 3 hits today and 4 times to the plate with a walk.
Yeah, he's been really swinging the bat tonight.
And Jose, when you see a guy like Yandy Diaz, I look at him and I don't know if there's a guy bigger in baseball, stronger than that young man. But you see zero pop, and that was kind of the word with him when he was with the Cleveland Indians. Hit the ball hard, but it was always on the ground, never got underneath it. What do you think about when you see a guy that big with that much? You know that power's in it because the exit velocity is always high with him.
I'm thinking swing path, and yes, launch angle.
Yeah, they were trying to do something with the launch angle to hit more baseballs in the air.
He gets his singles, he makes contact, but and he's got huge biceps, by the way. maybe the biceps are getting in the way, for all we know.
He is a monster.
A pinch runner for Diaz as Joey Wendell makes his way to first base. You talk about a fiery player, and there's many teams that will look to have a Joey Wendell type player.
He had some really big hits and big moments last year in the run to the World Series before losing to the Dodgers.
Manuel Margot, don't take him for granted, the former Padre. Nice pitch. Margot is 1 for 4 today. For the Angels in the 9th, Walsh, Upton, and Pujols. 5, 6, 7 for Joe Madden. Don't take him for granted because Margot just connects, and this is a new ball game now, 7-3, thanks to Manuel Margot with his 3rd homer of the season. No doubter.
Oh, this is a changeup that Iglesias would love to have back. This one catches a lot of the plate, and it's a no-doubter. He knows it, and that Rays bench just went nuts. They knew this was a tight game. They knew the Angels have the ability to come back, and this is just, boy, this changeup just stays right over the middle of the plate.
And reaction by Suzuki, too, tapping the ground after that one, too. He knew as the changeup stayed up and drifted in the middle. And if you look at Raisel Iglesias, his numbers, you know, where they're at, when he comes into save situations, he's been nails. But when he's come in the game to try to keep it close or keep it tied, it hasn't been the same for whatever reason.
And guys, no secret, this is a big homestand for the Angels. 4 against Tampa Bay, then 3 against the Dodgers, and back to Houston.
And then the Red Sox, too. So it's a pretty tough stretch.
And the Rays, a team that came in 3-5 in their last 8, 4-7 in their last 11 games. And that is after a season-high 5-game winning streak.
You know, I love what Joe Madden said. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that's the mentality that Joe Madden has. It's like, yeah, these teams are good, but we're a good team too. So it's, you can't get in awe of teams that you're playing. Obviously, this homestand with the Rays coming into town, and then the Dodgers.
Through the mound. There's Iglesias on the shift. He'll get him. So 2 more for the Rays. Thanks to 1 swing. They now lead 7-3. Tough outing again for Raisel Iglesias. Could not hold that deficit the Angels had of only 2 runs in a 9th inning. So now Margot with a 2-run homer with 2 outs. Puts the Angels in a very tough spot here, trailing by 4. And these Rays, one of the weakest hitting teams in baseball, but today inspired by the guy on the mound. Again, guys, no secret, a big inning again hurting the Angels. And that was back in the 3rd inning against Jose Quintana, Gubi.
Yeah, going back to the last number of years, the Angels versus the Rays. It's been a tough battle against these guys. They've had success a lot against the Angels, but those big innings, you just got to try to find a way to make some pitches, slow the game down, change speeds. When those big innings get started going against you, don't try to overthrow the baseball. That's when you take a little bit off your pitches to get them out in front, and allows you to get thhrrough with not too much damage done.
Unreal. The Rays at Angel Stadium since the beginning of 2010. Langer there 28-12.
Yep.
And it's the byproduct of what they usually do. It's on the mound. Their work is on the mound. They can shut you down. You can shut down any offense, and they've done that pretty much here today. Glasnow is a guy that we talked about it earlier, a guy that you can't really spot him, a big lead. He'll take it and run from there, and he did. And the Angels were able to score 3 times off him in that 6th inning to close the gap. But that blow last right there in the 9th inning, boy, that's a big one to really hurt you. And now the closer for the Tampa Bay Rays is in here in the 9th.
Diego Castillo, hard thrower, 93 miles an hour on that fastball away.
Yeah, he's got some really good tail end sinking action on his fastball. You can really see it from this angle.
Mike Brasso is moving over to first base. He started the game at third. It was a foul ball. Good swing there by.
I was going to say that was a real good swing by Walsh.
Yes, it was. Castillo, 14th appearance for him. 0-2, 3.38 ERA, 7 saves, 19 strikeouts, 5 walks, and 13 in the 3rd innings. Wendell came into the game as a pinch runner. He stays in the game at third base now.
Yeah, a ton of room down this third base line. You just need base runners. You got to create some stress by getting some traffic.
Walsh, a couple of strikeouts and a walk. One of the best hitters in the American League. That's a pretty good take right there. Walsh came in at 356, 6 home runs and 21 RBI.
That's no secret where you're going to get from Castillo a boatload of sliders. You talked about that power fastball, but this guy uses the slider a lot more than the fastball. And the last couple have been sliders nowhere close to the strike zone.
Could be not necessarily the cleanest mechanics, right? From down there?
No, not at all. It's you wonder how you're able to get that arm and that good arm angle every time to go throw strikes.
That's a running fastball right there. I think I ask you that because, and I see it from here, like when that front shoulder flies open, Gubicza, so does his leg. But you know, for him, it actually makes it more efficient.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things moving parts where it's part deception too. As a hitter, you're seeing, you know, that arm, that glove, and everything flying forward, but he still gets his arm in a pretty good arm path.
He's a big man.
That's a good take. There you go.
Outstanding at bat there by Jared Walsh. Walk for the 2nd time, and what timely walk right there.
Well, this 9th inning is all about keeping the line moving.
You guys saw enough baseball in your day, even in when you were out of the game in the dugout, that the dugout could make a big difference.
Yep.
In games like this one.
But we talked about momentum. How we've already seen the momentum shifts in this game. It was all Tampa Bay early. Angels scored 3 times in the 6th. You felt it push back over to the Angels dugout, and then that 2-run home run there in the 9th kind of flopped it back over to the Tampa Bay. But you could get a couple of guys on, and sure enough, that could kick back into the Angels dugout. And that energy, once it gets flowing, it's tough to stop.
Yeah, a leadoff walk when you're up by 4 runs in the 9th inning is something Kevin Cash does not want to see on that other side. It's big for the Angels to get some traffic.
Yes, Angels team has done, especially here at home, the comebacks. Many wins have come for the Angels out of the 13 they have.
And this is where the hitters have to be patient. They have to make him throw strikes. Can't be too overly aggressive in this situation right here and play into Castillo's hand, because we can see right now he is struggling with that command.
Situation for a closer, not easy. Up by 4, and sometimes it's not the most comfortable. We see it with Iglesias happen very often.
Don't have the edge.
Go back to that. We saw with Iglesias today again.
Yep. That's the point Gubicza made earlier, to where it's difficult sometimes for the closers. They come in and they don't feel that same pressure when the game is on the line. Even though that was a 2-run game and you're trying to just keep it a 2-run game, sometimes closers just, it's a difficult scenario for them. They love that extra pressure.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of them over the years, and a lot of them, you know, the manager was, I want to get you some work in. They always would say, hey, I'll get my work in the bullpen. I want to be in those situations where the game is on the line, the pressure's all on my back. I get my work in, in a bullpen session, have someone even standing there rather than come into this game, because I just don't have quite that same edge.
Upton gets under this one. He had given chase, but it'll find about 3 rows back.
That was a slider right there.
Did you guys ever have a talk with a closer that you played with to say, keep the edge in this manner, or that's pretty much a different department, different scenario?
They're different. They're a different breed. It's a tough one. That 9th inning, there's been a lot of great arms in the 7th and 8th inning setup guys, but when they get into that 9th inning scenario, it's not the same. You need that edge going. Oh. It's like being a field goal kicker trying to win a game in football. You want to be able to kick that 40-yarder at the end. Some kickers don't want to do that.
Full count on Upton, who's taking some good swings here tonight. No results to show, but he has a walk, stolen base.
You would think this would be a good matchup. Justin Upton has really hit breaking balls well this year, and even going the last few seasons. Batting average at 385 versus breaking balls this year. You have a pitcher that throws a lot of them.
Well, you got a 3-0 slider and a 3-1 slider, and guarantee this is going to be a slider. This is when you have to think that Upton's got to think, shoot it to the right side. Go to right field with it. That'll allow him to stay on that ball longer.
We're thinking yellow line here, right center field.
He got to chase that one.
He still missed it. Yeah. Big strikeout there for Diego Castillo.
That was a pretty good one.
I remember the great closer Lee Smith, Hall of Famer. And Lee Smith, when he was with the Angels, I remember going up in the clubhouse in between one of the innings. Lee Smith would be sound asleep on the couch in the room, the snack room. We'd go in the food room, and Lee Smith would be on the couch sound asleep. And he would wake up in the 7th inning and start moseying his way, and finally would make it down by the 8th inning to the Angels bullpen. I asked him, have you ever slept through a save? And he goes, no, I could smell those coming. He goes, it wakes me up immediately.
And Gooby, you played with one of the best in Dan Quisenberry.
Oh.
What kind of character was he?
Well, he was really hyper. I mean, he was, in the summertime in Kansas City, we'd bring out the fire hose and hose down all the fans when it was hot in the stands, and he was like cleaning his car up to that 7th inning. But once he knew that save situation was coming, at that point you're going 2 or 3 inning saves. He knew exactly when to get ready, and he wasn't going to strike anybody out, but he was going to get a lot of soft contact on the ground against them.
Let's see what Pujols learned from the way that Castillo approached Upton. That's my observation as a player.
Yep.
Similar hitters.
Well, you talk about players sitting on the bench watching the game. This is where you are going to school right now, watching what he is featuring. It's a boatload of sliders.
There's another one. Pujols batting 7th today, 1 for 3. A strikeout, a fly out to left, and a single to left.
When in the game of baseball right now, you're seeing even pitchers with a great fastball throwing high percentages of breaking balls. You got Glass now throwing, what, 55% fastballs when he's thrown 100.
It's a new game. I wonder how both of you would have reacted to that. When it's a mandate, it's not a choice. And they're showing you the numbers. Hey, this is why we want you to throw more sliders and more breaking balls. And Gooby, you were, mid to upper 90s. Langston, you too. Did I just say Langston?
You did.
Who is that?
Langer.
You did, Mota.
I'm trying not to say Mark. You guys are messing me up. So, would you have adapted to this style of pitching today?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a byproduct of the era that you played in. And it's, we played in a completely different era where we had to read swings. You learn how to read swings from Little League on.
I love that.
Now it's not as much. Pitchers don't read swings. It's more information driven, where you had to see if a guy's on your fastball, what you had to do. It's time to slow him down.
Shortstop. 1, 2. Yep, nobody's done it more than Pujols, unfortunately, in the history of the game. But that's how the game will end. A 6-4-3 and a victory 7-3 for the Rays over the Angels. So, Mark, from down there, before we let you go, tell me about what you saw in this game and your view from Mota Island.
I love the view down here, especially in that inning where they had the 3 runs scored on Shohei Ohtani's 2-run homer and Anthony Rendon. We're just hoping and praying that Anthony Rendon is okay after fouling that baseball off his knee, but there was some excitement level there. It is to come back and watching Glasnow throw, by the way. Wow, the leverage he gets on his fastball, it's pretty impressive.
Mark Langston, your thoughts about what we experienced today was just so fun.
It's a blast to be able to sit and talk and tell stories and just, talking baseball, this is what we do before the game starts. We have so many conversations between the three of us before everything starts going. So it's always fun to sit and do that. And this is a game, boy, we saw a lot of different things. We saw some really plus sides for Jose Quintana. We saw some downsides of Quintana. And when you go against a guy like Tyler Glass now, you just don't have the luxury of really letting that lead get extended. You always like what the Angels have done to battle back, but it was a blast to be able to. I'm glad that you guys invited me into your world.
Let's do it again. The final is 7-3, guys. It's been an absolute blast. Spread the word with your friends. Yes, Angels alumni. We want you to be part of these player takeovers, but you know what? For now, stay tuned. Alex Curry, Gubicza, all of us will break it down on Angels Live.